I inherited 4 wonderful saddle stones from my mum, but they are topless. Now they usually have the iconic mushroom type cap on them, and they were used previously in olden days for granaries. They just lifted sheds or granaries off the ground so vermin couldn't get in and eat all the things inside. And it's a very similar principle that I use with my boiled beans when I have them in a big flat tray hanging over, because they're resting on something tall and thin, so the vermin can't get up and round them. Anyway, because the tops were stolen, I thought, what shall I put? So I decided to go for stone balls. Now the problem is, obviously, the stone of the saddle stone base is weathered and old, but these look very new in comparison. So I've decided to weather them. And I've done a lot of weathering. And you can see here some balls I've got. So I've got the one in the middle is the new one. The one on the left, on my left, is the one that I've weathered. And the one on the right is a naturally weathered one. And it's useful to have the naturally weathered one, because then you can just see how it forms, and it's often underneath. Underneath you get more moss because it's damper. And you see there's lots of little lichen patterns on it, the grey. So I've got this fabulous mix here. Now I made this up a couple of days ago when I did the other one, and it's cow muck, which I got from the field. We've got quite a lot of that, but you could use any sort of manure that you can get your hands on. And then I put in some yogurt. I'm going to put a bit more in now to make it a bit more liquidy. And this is my favourite yogurt. I'm just going to put it in, and there it is. I'll just put the top on because I don't want the cow muck getting in there. And then I'm going to just mix it up nicely. Now I've also put some lichen in there, which I got from these twigs. I mean, if you go through any wood, you see loads and loads of twigs with lichen on the bottom. And so I just added some of that in. I'll add a bit more now, because then it's going to change the colour a wee bit. But more importantly, it means that the spores from the lichen are in the mix. And so therefore, they're likely to take hold and grow on the ball. So I'm just actually going to flake some bits off here and pop some more in to add to it. And it's interesting, the colours, aren't they? There's sort of greys and greens and that sort of almost bluey verdigris colour, which is really nice. And so I've got some nice bits of moss here, and I'll put a little bit in, but I'll use some just to rub on after. So I'm going to stir it up just as you would with a plum pudding or sponge cake or whatever you like making. And then I'm going to apply it to the ball with a paintbrush, and I'm going to do it mainly a lot more on the underneath. So I'm just going to apply it on. Now the one that you see I've done previously, it has actually been out in the rain. It rained quite heavily for a few days, and so it's amazing how it actually does stay on there. And of course, if you put something like this in a shady, damp place, obviously then the moss will grow much more than if you just leave it in the bright sunny space. Now these are made from reconstituted stone. Now reconstituted stone is sometimes called cast stone. It's got a variation of names, but basically what it is just stone dust mixed with cement, and sometimes they add other things as well, colorants and things like that. And then it's all mixed up and put into a mould, and then it cures, it goes off and dries. And they make them with slightly flat bottoms. So when I was deciding on the ball size to put on the saddle stone, and that is often a problem with finials, when you decide on the shape of finial you want, then you think, actually, what size do I want? And the easy way to do that, which I always do, is just cut out a cardboard template and stick it on, and do several, because what you think looks right, when you actually try one much bigger or much smaller, you then change your mind. And it always, when you're designing anything, if you can see the size and shape that you're anticipating by doing a mock-up, it makes it very much easier. Now I'm going to go and do the bottom quite a bit as well. Now, obviously, reconstituted stone or cast stone is way, way less expensive than real stone. So these cost me £25 each, from Grosvenor Stone, and I buy quite a lot of stone or cast stone items from them for various projects, and they're excellent value. If I bought them as real stone, they would have probably been well, I did actually get a quote, and it was well over 100 per ball, so it's way cheaper. And I think once they're weathered, very few people, not even a stonemason, could tell the difference between a weathered reconstituted stone ball and a stone ball. Now, when I've done that, so I've done it fairly evenly, and now if I want the bottom to look a bit darker, I'll get the moss and I'll just rub it on, which I haven't done that part very well, have I? So I'll put a bit more on there. It is a natural process, so you don't necessarily want the whole thing to look uniform. And then you can just get a bit of moss and rub it on. Now, not only does this colour it, you can see it just looks more effective because you're going deeper down below, but also, you know, you're putting spores and bits of moss on there, which will start to reproduce on the ball itself. Now, I've got some lovely stone piers over my ha-ha. When I've mentioned these before, I get lots of snide comments and, oh, hasn't everybody got stone piers and a ha-ha? But let me tell you that the ha-ha cost me £200 because I made it from telegraph poles that were in the field and were redundant, and the electricity board said we could have them. And the stone piers, I saw the set exactly the same in a client's garden. So I drew them up, measured them, drew them up, and then I got a quote from my local stonemason, and the 2 piers cost me £1,200. Now, you might think that's a fortune, and it isn't. It's one of the most expensive items I bought for my garden for sure, but they give me so much pleasure, and I think they really set off the view. Now, I could have done a beautiful stone ha-ha if I had the money and spent many thousands more. But always, I think when you're doing a project in the garden, you can, if you want something and you think it will really work, you can find out a less expensive way to get the same effect. And I think that's part of the fun of garden designing, and that you can do things in so many different ways to get a similar effect. Now, the reason I mention my stone piers at the risk of being ridiculed many times again from your comments is because they are real stone. I didn't actually weather them like this, but what I did do is I got the stonemason to shot blast them. So he just shot blasts them quickly over them before he brought them here. And that means that the surface of the stone is much more pitted than if it was fresh sawn, because obviously he saws them on his bench with very strong stone saws, and they come out with a very smooth surface. But as soon as you sandblast that, it's pitted, and therefore the mosses, the lichens and things can colonize and can make it weather much quicker than if you didn't. And those are probably about 5 years old now, and if you look at them, the tops, the balls, are much more weathered than the very vertical sides, and they've just naturally weathered, and I think they look really nice. Now, you don't have to weather stone. Obviously, if you're doing a very modern garden and you want it to look sawn and fresh and all the stone to look new, then you wouldn't weather them, and you might actually then clean the stone regularly so it looks very modern and very fresh rather than covered in algae. It's all about the effect you want to achieve. Now, we did do a lovely stone balustrade for a Chelsea garden, for the Portmeirion garden a few years ago. And there I got a firm to make up the balustrade for me from reconstituted stone to exactly copy the Portmeirion balustrade. And because we wanted it to look as though it had been there forever in a Chelsea garden, which had obviously only been there for a week, if that, we actually got an artist friend, Martin Rogers, who does trompe-l'oeils and all sorts of paint effects for me, and I got him to come in and weather it. So he got lots of acrylic paints, he got sap greens, which would be like the moss, he got a bit of the sort of licheny, bluey, greeny colour that you see on twigs, he got some brown umbers, and he had a spatter gun, and with the acrylic paints he spattered them on, and he weathered the undersides and the bits that were in the shade more than he did the tops, and he actually looked at a weathered balustrade and copied the effect. And you wouldn't have known it was cast stone, and you wouldn't have known it wasn't 100 years old by the time we put it in situ. So that's all about stone, weathering stone. I love using stone in the garden. Having a stone house, I think it's one of the nicest materials to use. I'm now going to put the balls onto the saddle stone, and I'm actually going to put on 4 old stone balls, which I'm taking from around the pool, which I've had for some time, and I'm going to put these ones that I've just weathered back round the pool. Is that confusing? Anyway, and I think they will look as though the saddle stones have had those balls on them forever and were meant to be like that.